UFC Fight Night Seattle is this weekend, featuring Song Yadong and Henry Cejudo in the main event. This card was amazing on paper, and then it kind of like fell apart. A lot of fights fell apart. The Cruz and Font fight fell apart, but they did find Font a backup opponent. We're going to talk about that Font fight. There is some interesting odds. Very, very interesting odds. What else fell apart? They moved Kunaya versus Blades. I feel like there was another fight that fell apart, and I can't think about it. There was another fight. Don't remember what it is, but it fell apart. But let's just get into the picks and predictions. Starting off with, now it says TBA versus TBA on ESPN because ESPN doesn't have the updates because they're a shit organization. Woke pussies, bitch. But the fight is Varetnikov versus Austin Vanderford. For those of you who don't know, Austin Vanderford is Mr. Van Zant. His wife's got a wonderful OnlyFans. Obviously, if you know Paige Van Zant, she used to fight in the UFC. Everyone knows fucking Paige Van Zant. I don't know why I'm even going into the explanation, but I'm going to go with Varetnikov. He's a good fighter. And Vanderford literally got brought into the UFC because Dana's gooning over Paige Van Zant's OnlyFans. So we're going to move on from that one. The pick is Varetnikov by whatever he wants. Now let's get into the ones that actually have a little bit of juice behind them. Modestas Bukauskas versus Rafael Sarkaria. I'm going Modestas Bukauskas. I think he's going to win by decision here, probably. I don't think he has crazy pop, but I do think he's kind of technical, and he's gotten much better as his fights have progressed. He's training with Tom Aspinall. Maybe he does get a finish here. Rafael Sarkaria got knocked out by Ibo Aslan. Ibo Aslan landed like a 50-punch combination. He didn't really know how to get out of it. Now, I do expect Rafael Sarkaria to be much better in this fight than he was in that fight against Ibo Aslan, but I'm going to go with Modestas. I think he's just going to piece him up. I think he's overall a better fighter. I think he's going to win a decision here. Wouldn't be shocked if he got a knockout with some kind of head kick, but I'm going to go with a decision here. I think Modestas has significantly improved, and he's improved consistently enough, and I just haven't seen enough from Sarkaria yet to actually predict him now. I predicted him against Ibo Aslan because I saw Ibo Aslan never moves his head. He's always there to be hit, but we'll get to that fight later. I think Modestas has the tools to win in this one. I think he can out-grapple Sarkaria too. I'm just looking at Modestas' recent win streak here. He got KO'd by Petrino, but before that he beat Pauga, which was actually a very close fight if I remember correctly. Beat Tyson Pedro after coming back into the UFC. He subbed Marcin Prachnio in what was actually a pretty decent fight. He's got momentum now. He's coming off a win. He's got some momentum, and I don't think Sarkaria is the guy that's going to beat him or put him out. I think Modestas wins a decision here. Moving on, Nursultan Ruzaboyev. We have had a ton of fights this year with super heavy favorites. The matchmaking has not been great from the UFC, if I'm going to be real, especially on the prelims. It's been very, very heavy favorites on a lot of these fight cards, so not loving to see that. But I'm going to go with Nursultan Ruzaboyev here. I just think he's better than Eric Makoniko. I think they kind of put him on here to get an Uzbekistani and Ruzaboyev a win here. I think Ruzaboyev is good. He got dominated by Buckley, yeah, but he is dangerous. And when you look at Buckley, Buckley's a fucking monster. Like, he's a very, very good fighter who's beating everybody in welterweight right now. So Buckley might be able to even beat Bilal Muhammad. He's a tough matchup for Bilal. I think he loses to a Jack Della Maddalena just stylistically. I don't know if that works for him. I think he might lose to a Shavkat too, but I think he beats an Ian Gary. I think he's perfect stylistically for a Bilal. I think he can beat a Kamaru Usman. And he went out there and he beat Ruzaboyev and he beat him dominantly in his hometown on relatively shorter notice. So I'm going to go with Nursultan Ruzaboyev to win here. He's fought better competition. He's very dangerous in the striking. He has a good submission threat, even though his takedown game isn't that great. But his actual submissions are pretty good. So I'm going to go with Ruzaboyev. And he took some time off after the Buckley fight to get better. I believe that was his last fight. Indeed. He knocked out Bruno Ferreira, which is a great knockout. Now, granted, he got it done in a round, but Bruno Ferreira is a tough fucking cookie, bro. He really is. Rodriguez Dumas sucks. He won that one by eye poke, but I think he's much better than Mekaniko. Like, when I look at Mekaniko's record, we're going to do the fucking bullshit again. Yeah. So when you look at it, 9-2-1 isn't bad, but let's see the guys he's fought. Let's do this together, because I haven't done too much research on. Oh, he's fighting out of the MMA lab. That's a good gym. Round 1 submission win on Tough Enough? I don't know about this promotion, bro. This guy's 0-6. Don't worry, he submitted him in round 1. Then he fights... No idea who this is. I see Maki Pitolo on the record. A guy from Killcliff who's 3-2. Then he fights Maki Pitolo. We all know this guy. Big hoop earrings, Maki Pitolo. I mean, it's Ruzaboyev, dude. This guy hasn't fought the best of competition, man. I'm going Ruzaboyev to win this fight. What the fuck? Where did this just come from? All right, boys. Sorry, you're going to have to bear with me here because this is just geeking like crazy right now. So yeah, we're going Ruzaboyev. I think he's going to get a knockout. I think he's going to get a knockout in the first round. Let's move on to Javid Basharat versus Ricky Simón. Now, I do think that I have overhyped Ricky Simón in a number of fights in the past. Picking him against Vinicius Oliveira was fucking stupid, dude. It was fucking stupid. Ricky Simón's got a good takedown threat. His striking sloppy. He had good cardio, but he's kind of just been a punching bag recently. And Javid Basharat, yes, he lost to Ayman Zahabi, but Ayman Zahabi's no joke now. You got Ricky Simón coming off 3 losses in a row. Now, you got to look at that. That's great competition there. It's Song Yadong, Mario Batista, Vinicius Oliveira. That is like the best competition that you can really have lined up without being in the top 5. Javid Basharat's a super heavy favorite, too. Like, this is a closer fight than it should be in terms of the odds. He lost a decision to Ayman Zahabi. Ayman Zahabi's good. No contest against Victor Henry. I want to say that was a nut shot from Victor Henry. But he beat Mateus Mendonca by decision. This guy's a decision machine. I don't know that Basharat is even that good. Like Javid Basharat. Farid Basharat, I think, is much better than Javid Basharat. But I think this is going to be a close decision. I think they're just going to give it to Javid Basharat. I mean, come on, dude. He's got the Afghanistan flag. You know that the UFC loves to occasionally give those victories out there so they can set them up for good cards in Saudi and Abu Dhabi and things like that. That's just what they do. If it's a close fight, they're going to go with the guy that's 14-1 rather than the guy that's on a 3 consecutive loss streak and 20-6 and Ricky Simón, who's 32 years old and out of his prime. Even though physically he's not out of his prime, but like as far as his career's gone, he's not beating these guys. I'm going to go with Javid Basharat to win a very close decision, maybe a split. I'm going Javid Basharat. I didn't get into too much of the technical advice here. I don't think there's going to be much grappling involved. I think that Ricky Simón might try and grapple. I think Javid Basharat's going to be good with the scrambles here. I think it's going to take place mostly on the feet, and I think Ricky Simón's a little too loopy with his punches, where Javid Basharat kind of throws things 1-2 down the middle. He's had some time off since his last fight, and I expect him to improve drastically. I'm going Javid Basharat by decision. Mansour Abdul Malik, I'm picking round 1 KO over Nick Klein. I don't think too highly of Nick Klein. Going back to his career, he got the round 1 sub on the Contender Series 37 seconds in, but that's usually because a guy just makes a fucking mistake. Actually, was Nick Klein a big underdog, I think, in this? Yeah, he was supposed to lose to Geraldo Souza, and he got a fucking fluke submission super early. That's right. He was a massive underdog, I believe. What was the submission type? I don't really care to go into that. That's Geraldo Souza. But, like, Geraldo Souza's good. He got a quick submission. But out of that, he subbed Cody Simpson. Whoever Huckbody is, I don't know. This guy's got to get some grappling game. That's what it looks like, at least. I don't fucking... Dude, who is this fucking schmuck? He looks dangerous. Like, he looks like he's a dangerous fighter, but he's just not. And Mansour Abdul Malik is fucking dangerous, dude. He's a fucking dangerous guy. Physically gifted and strong. Can put you out in a round. Did that to Dusko Todorovic. Got a knockout in round 2 on the Contender Series. He is a hard guy to take down because he's absolutely a physical specimen. I'm going to go with Mansour Abdul Malik here to win by a round 1 knockout. I think he can catch Nick Klein right on the chin early, maybe with an uppercut as Nick Klein shoots a takedown, or a knee, and end up getting the knockout. So I'm going Mansour Abdul Malik by knockout. Moving on. You know what's coming. Underdog pick, Andre Fili. Listen, I was big on Melquizael Costa after his performance against... I don't really remember who it was. Not Shyland, because that was not that good of a performance. Against Austin Lingo. Can't believe I thought highly on this guy after his performance against Austin Lingo, but ends up getting knocked out by Steve Garcia. A lot of people are getting knocked out by Steve Garcia nowadays. But then he subs Shylin Nuremberg, but Shylin Nuremberg made it pretty competitive at points and times. I think that Melquiz Alcasta's okay. He's the guy with the crazy fucking birthmark on his back. But I think Andre Fili's too good for him, bro. Like, I'm going to be real. These are the kind of fights that Andre Fili wins. He loses to the guys as he's trying to go up in the rankings or the super, super skilled guys. He doesn't lose to the Melquiz Alcastas. Andre Fili's very quick with the hands. Yeah, he got KO'd by Dan Ige. He got decisioned by Nathaniel Wood. Those are very, very good fighters. Those are top 20 fighters in the UFC featherweight division. Joe Anderson Brito, a top 20 fighter, he got knocked out by. Bryce Mitchell, he got decision by. Sadiq Youssef, he got decision by. But he's out there getting a split decision win against Charles Jourdain. He's out there beating Bill Algeo. Again, a lot of split decisions here. Out there beating Cub Swanson, Lucas Almeida. Like, I don't think Melquiz Alcasta's on the Ige, Wood, etc. level. I think that Andre Fili's going to be better. I think he's going to be able to stuff the takedown attempts here. And I think he's going to be able to push the pace a little bit later in the fight. And probably win a split decision here. I think he's going to be able to throw a lot of those 1-2s that hurt Melquiz Alcasta, and his striking's going to look a lot better. So I'm going to pick Andre Fili to win this fight by decision. It's a slight underdog pick there. Moving on. Ion Cutelaba versus Ibo Aslan. Ibo Aslan looked very, very good in his last fight against Sarkaria, but he kind of just hurt him once and then just pushed the pace for the finish. I can see him hurting Cutelaba once, trying to push a pace, and Cutelaba actually shooting a takedown, stalling the fight out a little bit, and Ibo Aslan gassing out, and Ion Cutelaba getting a round 2 knockout. I'm going to go with another underdog here in Ion Cutelaba. I'm picking Ion Cutelaba. Round 2 knockout. I still think that Ibo Aslan doesn't move his fucking head, bro. He's very flat-footed. He doesn't move his head. He can get hit. Now, granted, he is on a massive momentum streak here. Round 1 KO 3 times in a row. Then goes up to a round 3 KO with Anton Turkalj. Then he goes against Rafael Sarkaria, knocks him out in round 1. His only loss is to Anton Turkalj. I think Ibo Aslan is solid, very powerful, but he's super hittable. And Ion Cutelaba is also super hittable. I don't know about Ibo Aslan's grappling game and his counter grappling. I know Ion Cutelaba is very physically strong and he can get takedowns. I can see him just blasting and getting takedowns in this fight in order to tire out Ibo Aslan. And I'm actually going to trust, crazy to say, I'm going to trust Cutelaba's gas tank over Ibo Aslan's. When I remember Ion Cutelaba's fight with Felipe Lins. Felipe Lins was the one gassing out and held on for dear life in the grappling, and Felipe Lins is a good grappler. Ibo Aslan's not known for his grappling. He's known for his heavy hands, knockout power, combinations, sporadic KOs. Listen, I can see Ion Cutelaba taking some damage early, but I can see him just surviving, getting to the second round, Ibo Aslan super tired, and Cutelaba comes back and gets a big win with a knockout in round 2. I'm going Ion Cutelaba with a KO win. I think it's going to happen. I'm picking it. We're picking Ion Cutelaba KO win. Moving on. Alonzo Menefield versus Julius Walker. I'm picking Alonzo Menefield. I think he's going to get this one done by KO. When I look at how he's fought, he loses to good opponents. Like, he blitzed Carlos Ulberg like a fucking tard, but it's Carlos Ulberg. And I get he also just got KO'd by Azamat Mirzakhanov. But it's Azamat Mirzakhanov. It's not Julius Walker making his UFC debut at 6-0 after beating 18-11. Okay, not terrible. I mean, it's not great, but it's not terrible, right? Who's this guy? Lewis? 7-6. Yeah, this is not looking good. 3 title wins. Listen, so he's going to have the cardio to go, but like, that's not a bad win. Listen, these aren't terrible wins. They aren't. But I think Menefield's got pop. I think he's got power. I think he's got the ability to mix up the grappling too, being able to wrestle. Not necessarily that he has this crazy submission threat, but he did submit Jimmy Crute. he does have absolute nukes in his hands. I'm going to pick Alonzo Menifield to win here. I think he can get a decision win in this one. I think he can land a couple of really good power shots, get a couple of takedowns, and end up winning rounds. I'm going to go with a 30-27 win from Alonzo Menifield here. I think he's just better than Julius Walker, man. I do. Yeah, we're going to move on. Jean Silva versus Melsik Bagdasaryan. Now, these are the fights that we really want to talk about, even though I've spent too much time on the other ones. But I'm picking Jean Silva. I'm picking him to win by a round 2 KO, maybe round 3. I am a little nervous for this fight, though, because Melsik is good. Like, he's a good fighter. Great body kicks. And granted, his kicks are very good. His boxing is very selective. He kind of picks his shots and leads the dance with his kicks. And I think that can frustrate Gene Silva for a little bit, but I think Gene Silva can get those reads and end up timing takedowns. I can see Gene Silva using the takedowns in this fight, being able to catch the kicks, and then kind of kick the leg out of Melsik Bagdasaryan, catch the kicks, get a trip, get a takedown. You know what? I'm going to go a round 2 submission from Gene Silva. I think he's going to see how frustrating the kicks are from Melsik Bagdasaryan early. Be able to get in the pocket, land some good shots. Melsik's going to be kind of running a little bit. And then Gene Silva's going to be able to start catching those kicks to the body and going for takedowns. I think he's going to be able to intercept those, get the takedown, transition to like an arm triangle, maybe get to the back for a rear naked choke. I can also see Melsik Bagdasaryan gassing out. We've seen him gas out in the past. And we've seen him gas out a little bit early. And that's usually what happens with fighters who have a very kick-heavy approach. Now, Melsik is very good, but his grappling leaves a lot to be desired. He got subbed by Kulabau. He had a pretty competitive-ish fight with... Actually, I don't think it was that competitive with Tucker Lutz. But goes to decision with Tucker Lutz. Goes to decision with Sosa. KO's Anglin. Like, who the fuck's that? Goes to decision with Bazookia on the Contender Series. Like, this guy's good, but it's more aesthetics than he is supremely talented. And I think Gene Silva is genuinely supremely talented. Striking, grappling, tenacity. He's going to go in there. He's going for the finish. He fights mean. And I think he can impose his will on Melsik Bagdasaryan pretty early in this fight after getting frustrated with some kicks, realizing, fuck it, I'm going to the ground and I'm going to submit this guy. I think he gets a submission via I'm going to go arm triangle in round 2, Gene Silva. And then he gets a ranked opponent after that. That's what I'm calling. Moving on. Jean Matsumoto versus Rob Font. Now, Jean Matsumoto is pretty good. I actually think he's very good. But I don't think he's Rob Font level yet. This is going to happen at a catchweight. Rob Font is not the biggest bantamweight, and Jean Matsumoto is a pretty fucking big bantamweight. But Jean Matsumoto is very inexperienced compared to Rob Font, obviously, especially look at the age and the amount of fights they've had. Rob Font's fought really good fighters. And the thing with Rob Font is, all right, if you're picking Jean Matsumoto, you're not picking him to outstrike Rob Font. Rob Font's going to pepper the jab in his face if this stays on the feet. End up following up with a 2, then rip to the body. Rob Font's going to piece him up if this stays on the feet. If you're picking Jean Matsumoto, you're expecting him to be able to get this fight to the ground and hold Rob Font there. I don't think he's going to be able to do that. I think Jean Matsumoto's good. I think he can impose his will with the takedown games. But I think Rob Font has improved tremendously in his takedown defense. We saw that against Kyler Phillips. When you look at the fights that he's lost, it's against premier level talent. Marlon Chito Vera. And again, Rob Font in that fight is winning that fight the whole time. Not the whole time. He's winning each round on points, and then Chito lands a big shot to sit him down, which he was doing to everybody during that little run of his. Then he KOs Adrian Yanez. Then he goes in with Corey Sandhagen and is working Sandhagen on the feet a little bit with the jab, and then his Sandhagen turns into an absolute insane wrestler because obviously he's hurt. But he out-grappled Rob Font, and then Rob Font realizes that's what happened. Okay, I got to start working on my wrestling more. He just draws Davison Figueiredo, who is premier level talent. He is coming up from flyweight, the flyweight skill, but still has that good power at bantamweight. So he goes, all right, what do? Take almost a year, go back to the drawing board, go up to Fares Zahabi's gym and learn how to sprawl and stuff those takedowns. And he comes out against Kyler Phillips and wins that fight. Dominant, clearly wins that fight. And Kyler Phillips was trying to get some takedowns. He could not get those takedowns. Kyler Phillips was trying to move around on the feet. Rob Font was piecing him up on the feet. I don't think Gene Matsumoto is going to be able to get the takedowns here. I think Rob Font's going to be able to sprawl. Even if he does get taken down once or twice, he's going to get back to his feet. And I can see Gene Matsumoto getting a little bit tired in this one, taking it on such short notice when, yes, Rob Font's taking a new opponent on short notice, but he was supposed to fight Dom Cruz this whole card. I'm willing to bet he was training. I'm willing to bet the UFC told him, listen, we're going to find you a fight. We know you want to fight on Seattle. We're going to find you a fight. Keep training. We'll find you someone. If not, weigh in as a backup for the main event, and we'll pay you your show money. Something along those lines. So I'm willing to bet Rob Font's still been rigorously training. I know he trains very hard. That gym with Fares Sahabi is no joke, and that's where he's been training recently. I think he's going to be able to school Gene Matsumoto on the feet here. Maybe land a round 3 KO, because we know Rob Font's got tremendous cardio. And dude, you may think that he doesn't have the heaviest hands. His hands are fucking massive. I think he's going to be able to pepper that jab, bust up Gene Matsumoto. Gene's going to start going for these takedowns. Rob Font might get taken down. He's going to get back to his feet after about 30 seconds. Then they're going to go up. Rob Font's on the jab again. Gene Matsumoto shoots another takedown, goes against the cage, maybe trips the leg out, but Rob Font's able to kind of hold up with his hands, gets back to his feet. Gene Matsumoto's clinching him against the cage a little bit, trying to hold up against the cage. Referee maybe separates because Gene Matsumoto's doing nothing against the cage, or Rob Font's able to get the underhooks, pivot out, and start landing punches against the fence. I think he's going to be able to break Gene Matsumoto in this fight and win via a round 3 KO. It's not the end for Gene Matsumoto. He's 25 years old. He's 16-0. I think he's outmatched in this one. So I'm picking Rob Font as the underdog here. Moving on to the co-main event. Another underdog I'm taking. Guys, the dogs are barking on this card. You saw the thumbnail. I'm going with Brendan Allen. This is a piping hot take, but hear me out. Anthony Hernandez is very good. I think he ragdolls a lot of the division. I like his advantage in a 5-round fight against Brendan Allen. In a 3-round fight, I can see Brendan Allen getting those first 2 rounds. I think Brendan Allen is far superior on the feet. I think he's more technical. His boxing's gotten a lot better. Landing the jabs, throwing an uppercut, low kicks. I think he's going to stay a little bit more of a boxing-heavy approach because I don't think he wants Anthony Hernandez to get his leg. But where I look at Brendan Allen being able to have success in this fight is being able to get up when Anthony Hernandez is relentlessly shooting takedowns, or go for his own offense in the grappling. Maybe try and reverse position. Anthony Hernandez's cardio is fantastic. His grappling is fantastic. But when you're grappling against Brendan Allen, you're in his realm. You're 100% in his realm. He's going to be able to have moments where he's able to transition to the back and offensively grab. Listen, people are talking about Anthony Hernandez like he's the best fighter in the division. Dude, he's awesome. Cardio machine. We look and we see things like that from Merab. But I think Brendan Allen, you're playing into Brendan Allen's game with this fight. With the way Anthony Hernandez fights, it's kind of playing into Brendan Allen's game. He's going to walk forward. Brendan Allen's going to sit down on the 1-2, try and sprawl and defend the takedowns, or accept a takedown, try and reverse positions, get his own jiu-jitsu game going. We've seen Brendan Allen submit a ton of very high-level grapplers. Now, Brendan Allen has gotten tired and broken in 3-round fights, but when you're talking about the Imavov fight, it's like, yeah, he fucking broke because they were doing some fuck shit in France to try and make it so that way their French fighters could do better. Not letting them hydrate before they take a piss. Having to sit there and wait. Brendan Allen was very vocal about that. The French commission being totally corrupt for their fighters. Surprise, surprise, dude. Surprise, surprise. France being fucking corrupt. Surprise. Woke pussies. Sorry if you're French and you're following this channel. It's just, your leadership is a bunch of fucking woke pussies, and I don't like you disrespecting Lord and Savior Jesus Christ on a fucking national stage. So, fuck you, France. Soy bitch. But he submits a high-level grappler in Paul Craig, submits Bruno Silva, submits Andre Muniz. These are high-level grapplers. Then he goes to a 5-round fight with Chris Curtis, and he goes to war, shows he's able to dig deep and win that fight. Then he loses to Imavov. Yeah, but there were some extenuating circumstances. And when you talk about Nasruddin Imavov, you're talking about a guy that just knocked out Israel Adesanya in round 2 and is going to fight for a title in his next fight, probably. Listen, Anthony Hernandez is great, but you know he's going to go to the grappling. You know he's going to go to the grappling and push a relentless pace. You're going into the realm of Brendan Allen, and that's where I see him being able to win 2 rounds here. If it's 5 rounds, I think Anthony Hernandez wins 48-47, wins the last 3 rounds, and maybe even gets a late finish just by breaking Brendan Allen. I don't think he's breaking him in 3 rounds. And I don't think he's going to be able to supremely out-grapple him to the point where Brendan Allen's left as a fish out of water, unable to do anything. I think Brendan Allen's very, very good. And I think if Brendan Allen finds a way on top, Anthony Hernandez is down there for most of the fight, or most of the round. Because Brendan Allen's top pressure is very, very good. And I can also see Brendan Allen game planning very well, landing good body kicks, good hooks to the body, because Anthony Hernandez is a little soft-bodied. You're able to kind of catch him to the body and hurt him a little bit there. So I'm going to go with Brendan Allen to win this fight by a 29-28 decision. And we're going to move on to the main event, Song Yadong versus Henry Cejudo. I'm picking Song Yadong. Most people should be picking Song Yadong. Henry Cejudo is significantly out of his prime. He's lost a number of fights in a row, so he doesn't really have the momentum anymore. He doesn't have any momentum anymore. He lost to Aljo. And I don't think that should have been a split. I thought he pretty cleanly lost to Aljo. Then he loses to Merab, and he has a good round against Merab. But he, KO'd Cruz. There were some extenuating circumstances with Cruz for that. Also, it is Cruz, he can be KO'd. Especially at the age he was at. Marlon Moraes. He KO'd Marlon Moraes. Honestly, that was one of his better performances. KO's a weight-drained TJ Dillashaw, he's not the Henry Cejudo he was before he took the break. He's not. And Song Yadong has fought insane levels of competition recently. Insane levels. Lost a 29-28 decision to Petr Yan. Good fight. But lost. He won the first round, lost the last 2. Yan did his thing, got back in the group. That's Petr Yan, a guy that's about to fight for the title, a guy that is one of the best fighters the UFC has ever seen, one of the most skilled the UFC has ever seen. Damn right I said it. He dominates Chris Gutierrez in a 5-round fight. Dominates Chris Gutierrez. What did he 50-45 him? Yeah, 50-45 Chris Gutierrez. And the way how? He fucking grappled the shit out of him. This guy's super physically strong and dominant. Super strong. A lot of power in his hands. And Chris Gutierrez literally low-kicked him all fight. That's all he did. Ricky Simone, he KO'd in the 5th round. So he's got the cardio to go the 5. He lost via doctor stoppage to Corey Sandhagen. It's via cut, but if you look at Song Yadong, he wanted to get off the stool. He KO'd Marlon Moraes with a sick fucking uppercut. This guy, Song Yadong, is a serious problem. He's 27 years old. He's consistently getting better and better and better. His grappling's getting better, so I expect him to be able to stuff the takedowns from Henry Cejudo. I don't think there's many people in the UFC that can take Song Yadong down. I think Song Yadong would actually have success against Merab Dvalishvili. Now, Merab might break him in round 4 and 5, but I actually think Song Yadong's cardio is pretty decent, and he's so physically strong that no one's taking him to the ground. He's the guy that you're like, whoa. He was kind of like the Joaquin Buckley of bantamweight to me. That's what I look at him. Crazy power, good striking, consistent improvement, great takedown defense, strong hips, very strong physical human being, can get takedowns of his own. I think you're going to see moments where Song Yadong's able to get takedowns of his own because his hands are so damaging that Henry Cejudo's hands are up a lot. I think you're going to see a lot of low kicks blasted on Henry Cejudo from Song Yadong. I think you're going to see a couple of great body shots land, good uppercuts, hooks following it. Then maybe a takedown comes in. He's holding Cejudo against the fence. Elbow, left hand, back up, 1, 2. I'm going to go with Song Yadong. I think he's going to get a knockout here in round 3. I think I've picked round 3 knockout in almost every 5-round fight that we've seen. Obviously, I picked Moicano to win by decision, but that was just fucking that. I picked Umar to win via round 3 KO. I picked Gregory Rodriguez to win via round 3 KO. Picked Izzy to win by decision. Okay, yeah, man. Fuck it. Round 2 KO, Song Yadong. I'm going round 3 KO. It's got to happen at some point, right? Round 3 KO, Song Yadong. I think he just lands a couple of good combinations, busts Henry Cejudo's jaw open, and gets a ground and pound finish here. I'm going Song Yadong, KO, round 3. I think he's just going to outmatch Cejudo here. I think Cejudo's only path to victory is the takedown game, and I actually think Song Yadong's hips are too good, too strong, to be able to get taken down by Henry Cejudo. Like, when you look at Petr Yan, how he got Song Yadong to the ground, he kind of like would throw a punch, slip the following punch from Song Yadong, get to the hips, and then kind of like trip the leg. I don't think Henry Cejudo is going to be able to use really trips in this fight. I think he's going to struggle big time getting in on the inside. I think you're going to see Song Yadong's jab at range work really well, a couple of low kicks, body kicks, and then the big hooks are coming, and then the takedown defense sprawls, and then the big hooks again. So I'm going Song Yadong to win by KO in round 3. These are the picks and predictions for UFC Seattle. It's a pretty good card. Hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please like and subscribe. I'm 37-24. Went 7-5 last week. Not my best performance, but you know what? It could have gone worse. It was a tricky card to predict last week. I picked all the wrong underdogs, but it is what it is. We're going to do well on this card. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please like and subscribe.